Hi guys, welcome back. This is Lost Arts Radio Live safe stream version, and my name is Richard Sachs, and I'm using this platform carefully for the things that I can say without being disappeared right away. And then the main Lost Arts Radio Live show is linked below, and you can find it by going to lostartsradio.com on other platforms, and you can always check there and see where we're still allowed to be on the air. But I'm trying to keep this one open to not lose those of us who are connected to this platform and haven't gone to the other ones yet. I was thinking about what to say today for a couple minutes, before the main show. And their developments in the last few days, some people are just becoming aware of them today, that there's, boy, what can I say about it? I don't think I can get too specific. Maybe you know what it is, but we'll get into it in detail on the live show on the platforms that allow it. But it's kind of analogous, I would say, to what happened in early 2020 when we had the notorious days, so many days to accomplish a certain thing. It's intended as a justification for a lot more social and economic destruction. I think I can say that if I'm generic. So the really only thing about it that matters is, can we stop it and reverse the damage that has already been done in the last more than a year now, almost 2 years. And I think that depends on what we do globally. A lot of great leaders, like people I can't mention, people in England and in Canada, and some even leaders in the US have been saying, we don't have to comply with all these things that are mandated, right? Because they violate your natural rights, which were not enumerated because they're not limited, but they were acknowledged in the founding documents of the new U.S. country, America, when it was started in the late 1700s. And they belong to people, not just Americans, but people all over the world. Doesn't matter where you're listening from, or where you were born, or where you're living, or what nationality you are. These are the costumes we have. They're not who we are, right? I mean, we're supposed to rise above that level of unconsciousness and realize that we're the operator within the costume. They're the consciousness that is experiencing it. And as people, regardless of where we are, we have the same rights from God, and you get them even if you don't believe in God. It doesn't matter. You still have them, and no authority is allowed to violate those. I don't know. Maybe that's fatal for me to say that on this platform. I don't know. I have to say something, and it's going to be pretty boring if I just sit here and don't say anything. So can we stop it? It depends on what we do all over the world. And that's going to come, that can't be faked, really. It's going to come out of who we are, who we experience we are, who we feel we are. And I remembered that movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger was in 1990, I think it was, called Total Recall. Do you remember that? Did you see it? It's a pretty interesting movie. It's kind of violent, as all of his movies are that I saw, but it's really significant. Some quantum physics people, quantum physicists, I guess you would say, are saying that we seem to be living in a simulation. I think they're correct. But it's not what they're thinking. It's not what the ones I've seen are thinking. It's not some weird ET or supernatural being or God playing little games, sadistic games to make us suffer for no reason in the silly game that we're put into by against our will, I don't think any of those are accurate. I think if you look for who's controlling it, it's actually us. It doesn't mean we know we're controlling it. It doesn't mean we even know we're in it. But we're not these costumes. I mean, you wear these for a very brief time. Lifespans of 100 years are a total joke. That's nothing. That's like a flash. And during the time that you're in it, what you project, and this is a longer subject than we have time for now, but what you project affects what you experience. And then you blame it on, if you're like most of us, you blame it on other people, circumstances, horrible authority figures and stuff like that. And we have no idea the amount of power that we've got. So when these great leaders that I can't name safely are saying, you know, you can't be controlled by rules that violate your natural rights, whether there's a real or emergency or not has no bearing on it at all, even if it was real. They can't do that legitimately anyway. They can make believe. So the real game that's going on behind the scenes is not who has more guns, although that does have an effect for sure. And I think it's really important to preserve firearms and self-defense rights. Absolutely. Countries that lose those, and this is something that the people who think they're progressive or liberal sometimes don't fully understand. Guns don't make people crazy. We have somebody really interesting guest on tomorrow night that's going to get into that a little bit more. They don't make people racist. They don't make people homophobic. They don't do any of those things. They're just like a shovel or any other tool. You can do good or bad with them. And if you do good with them, then there's real defense. If you do bad, there's all kinds of crime. And again, it comes out of who we experience that we are. And the real game that's going on that I mentioned in this, if it is a simulation, is who's got the most focus in what they're imagining. And I don't mean imagining on an intellectual level. I mean imagining on a deep emotional level. What are you imagining right now? Most of us are taking our time to imagine horrible things. And of course, we're being assisted with that by the people on the dark side in charge of what's going on in the world right now. And I'm open to white hat presence, so to speak. You just show yourselves, you know, introduce yourselves if you're really doing anything. I'm not just going to believe in you like a religion. But the people who are obviously showing their control on the dark side, in the middle levels, they don't know. They think it is about physical force. But on the upper levels, they know it's about focus and concentration. And whoever, you know, we all broadcast frequencies. And you find out about that it's true. And every life form does. And most of ours are all scattered, and they don't do very much. But one of the rules of the game, there are rules of the game like there are in Monopoly or any other game. And one of the rules is whoever has the most focus. And that doesn't mean, you know, really intense force. It means relaxed, still focus on a certain energy, a certain frequency, a certain emotional state. Has more influence than the people who are scattered like most of us all over the place. And at the top level, and the servants that are carrying out what they want, they're pumping out this frequency of fear, hatred, division. Fear is the main one, but all the others come from that. And they can do that easily because they're full of fears ever since, you know, the people on the dark side, they're not scary. That's just on the surface. They just made mistakes. They think they're really, you know, amazing bad people. They're just the kids that made mistakes, playing the role that they chose. And they're not going to get what they want. And it's up to us when we want to wake up and stop running away from it. Because we're not in a position where we have to. Anyway, the people in the top levels of the control system right now know that what it's about is consciousness. They'll use the weapons and, you know, the poisons in the environment and all this other stuff to cause damage because they're confused. They think causing damage is what will lead them to their ultimate goal, which is it will. They're just not going to like it like they think they will. But we don't have to go along with that. And yeah, all the protest stuff and things are really good, and telling the truth is great, but what you're putting out, the frequency that you're broadcasting is the most powerful, even if you say nothing. So I can say that, I think, pretty safely, because the people who run most of the platforms don't think that that has any bearing on anything. They don't know that that's what the game is about. But there are clues that that is what the game is about. And you can experiment and see them yourself if you are brave enough to do that. And I say brave because fighting external enemies is one thing, but changing yourself is more demanding. And if you're willing to come out of your pattern and do something different than what you always did, as far as your emotional state goes and your focus, you find out, well, wait a minute, I'm changing how I feel and what I project, and other people are acting differently, even if they don't notice it, and they won't. Situations are changing. And that's just a minor clue that you have this massive power. And the reason I bring it up is only one thing. I know what the bad guys are planning to do, and I don't want to see it happen any further than it's already happened. You know, we've gotten accustomed to accepting a level of suffering in the world that is beyond description, really. And we're kind of used to it and tend to take it as normal. It's not normal. It's so far from normal. None of this stuff is normal. This whole system is not normal. The karmic forces that are pushing everybody from one situation to the next are not normal. That's not the image of God that you were made in. That's pure beauty. And it didn't go anywhere. It's just covered up. Even the bad guys are made in the same image, and they just totally forgot. And they're playing a role that they're going to realize was not a good idea, and they should change while they still have a chance. And they could. Any of them in the dark side of the power structure, there's no rule that they can't change. No matter what they did, no matter what kind of crime, they could change now. And what's going to make them think about doing that, even if they don't understand why they're thinking about it? It's you. Deciding to stop being focused and blowing away your time and getting focused on, first of all, just being aware of what you're projecting out into this simulation movie that you're in, that you're the star of, and you don't even know you're the star. You are. Massive power. See, the people monitoring this either they don't know what I'm saying matters at all, which is fine, or they think that you won't understand it and won't do anything with it. But you could. And I'm looking for any kind of solutions, because I see all the sub-agendas fitting together, and, you know, everything from the chemtrails to the 5G to the poison food to the fluoride in the water and GMOs and trying to genetically alter all the life forms on the planet now, including humans. I see all that stuff, and I see how it fits together, and I see where they intend it to go. And so my thought is, well, that's not very good. That leads to nothing but suffering and darkness. So let's not do that. And then I think, all right, if we're not going to do that, how are we going to stop it? In our known history, and even some of the not very well known, back tens of thousands of years, it hasn't been stopped. I don't know if you noticed. You had a role in it in different forms, but it hasn't been stopped. What if you could stop it? Would you care? So I'm suggesting you respect the incredible power you're carrying. And if you're like most of us, you're blowing it away, saying, please, God, help us, and assuming that you can't do anything. Who do you think is in you that could do this? It's not a celebrity in Hollywood. Same essence is in them. They could do the same thing. And all the people serving the negative parts of the system could do the same thing. They have as much power as we do. But dark is deception and mistaken identity. It's not real. So they'd have to turn over and start working with what's real. And you can invite them to do that without saying anything. If you do it, and everybody just wants to say, well, so-and-so should change. You know, look at that guy. He's really dumb. And this lady is a monster. And there's lots of those monsters around. But who are the monsters? They're the same as we are. And they got confused. And they made some bad choices. And they're most of them that are seriously bad. It's not worth talking and debating with them. They're not going to do anything except maybe try to eat you. So what can you do to help? Change your own focus and take it seriously. Not worry, not fear. Fear is not useful for anything, and neither is worry. But considering what you could do with your time and how valuable it is, that could be worthwhile. So anyway, I think I've stayed within the realm of safety for what I can say on this particular channel. And if you want to join us, we'll get into it with less restriction on the Lost Arts Radio live show, which we have to get ready for because it's in 10 minutes. And if you want to stay in touch, lostartsradio.com, that shows where we're allowed to be on the air, and all kinds of archives and audio, articles and videos are there almost every day that are educational. But the real education is you. You're the star of the movie, and you're wandering around like you're an extra. You're not an extra, you're the star. Changes everything if you are willing to play your role. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say, and I think I said it safely. So that was Safe Stream for today. Join us at lostartsradio.com, and you'll see we're on a bunch of other platforms for the real show, which starts in 10 minutes. And tomorrow night, we got a guest show. That was the original show we started with years ago, Lost Arts Radio on Sunday. And all those shows going back years are on various platforms, even including this one, except for the latest ones. And those you can find by going to lostartsradio.com. So anyway, I hope you join us, and we're under a lot of obvious pressure for censorship and shadow banning. So if you want to share the links, that would be really helpful. If any of you want to help us stay on the air, we're not doing commercials, so you can donate money if you have it to donate at lostartsradio.com or through subscribestar.com/lostartsradio. And but if you don't have a lot of money and you're struggling to survive, please don't do that. Just share the links and mainly take care of yourself and start exploring, the amazing truth of who you actually are in this movie. It may be a simulation, but you have power to affect it on a dramatic level, even to the point of other people, without telling them to do anything, just by waking up yourself. It's on a level that is not usually talked about, and we're going to talk about it more in a few minutes. So have a good night. If we don't see you again, otherwise I'll meet you in 8.5 minutes at Lost Arts Radio Live on the other platforms through lostartsradio.com. Have a good night. Happy Thanksgiving, and look forward to seeing you soon.